Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Pinky Science Academy, Biology Paper 1, Revision Questions and Answers. Please like, subscribe and comment. The first question you've been asked to, how does growth as a characteristics of living organism differ in plants and in animals? So in plants, growth occurs in meristematic tissues, while in animals, growth occurs all over the body. Number 2, you are told to state two roles of active transport in animals. It helps in reabsorption of sugars and salts in the kidney, absorption of digested food from the alimentary canal, and excretion of waste products from the body cells. Cyanide lowers the rate of active transport. Explain. So you know that cyanide is an enzyme inhibitor, so it affects the rate of active transport because the active transport is controlled by enzymes. The figure below is a diagram of a vertical section of a mammalian tooth. Name the parts labeled A and B. A is enamel. This one is representing the external part, the white part of the tooth. Then B is representing the gum. Then state one way in which structure D is adapted to its function. Structure D, it contains, that's the pulp cavity. It contains blood vessels which supply food and nutrients and also remove carbon dioxide and nitrogenous waste from the tooth. It also contains nerve endings that are sensitive or for sensitivity. The diagram below shows the percentage of oxygen in the blood of fish as water passes along the gill plate. So here you can see the distance along the gill plate, blood and water. So blood and water move in opposite direction, and then there is percentage saturation of oxygen. You are asked, name the type of blood flow shown in the gill plate. The type of blood flow is a counter current flow. Explain the advantage of this type of flow named above. It creates a steep diffusion gradient that enhances the rate of gaseous exchange across the gill filaments through diffusion. State organs in human which display the type of flow named above. So countercurrent flow is present in the kidney and it's also present in the placenta. The equation below shows an oxidation reaction of food substances. You have that molecule oxidized with 145 oxygen to give 102 CO2 and 98 water molecules and energy. What do you understand by the term respiratory quotient? So respiratory quotient is a ratio between the amount of carbon dioxide produced over the amount of oxygen that is consumed. And determining the respiratory quotient, say that RQ is equals to CO2 produced over O2 used up. That gives you, so for this one is 102 CO2 over 145 oxygen that is consumed, and therefore you get 0.703. So that's 0.7. 0.7 represents fats. When any of the growth parameters such as growth in size, weight, increase in number of cells are plotted in a graph against time, a clear curve like that is shown. Population size over time and then the carrying capacity. So you are asked to state its name. The name of that curve is sigmoid curve. Then the embryo of a dry, fully developed seed usually passes through a period of rest after ripening period, and it cannot germinate even when provided with a favorable condition. State the significance of this. That provides the seed with enough time for dispersal so that they can germinate in a suitable environment. It also enables the seed to survive during adverse condition. And also it helps the embryo to develop until favorable conditions arise. You are told that cowpeas seeds were placed in a vacuum flask and left for 5 days. What is the expected change in composition of gases in the flask? Of course, there will be decrease in oxygen concentration and increase in carbon dioxide concentration. Reason? Because germinating seeds respire using oxygen and they release carbon dioxide. Biotechnologist works at day and night to curb food insecurity using knowledge of polyploidy in genetics, explain the economic importance of such practice. So it helps in increased yield in plants, it causes early maturity in plants, and also enhance resistance to pest, diseases, and drought. Define backcross. Backcross is a cross between an offspring and one of its parent. The structure below was obtained from an animal cell. You're supposed to identify the structure. That structure is known as cilia. It is normally found along the trachea and also in the oviduct. So cilia works in trapping dust particles in the trachea and moves the mucus up the trachea, and you swallow it to kill germs, and also it helps in wafting the fertilized ovum. From which part of the mammalian body are these structures found? I have already stated earlier. It is found in the trachea and the oviduct. You have another question. You're told that a student was found to have blood group B positive. Which type of antibody is present in his plasma? You know, when the blood group is B, the antibody is A. When the antigen is A, the antibody is B. So because here we have antigen B, then the antibody present is A, small a. Which antigens are present in this blood group? Antigen is B. Antigen is the one that determines the blood group of a person. We only have antigen A, antigen B, and the rhesus antigen. So rhesus antigen is known as rhesus antigen D. Plants relatively have less waste to excrete than animals. Give a reason for that observation. Plants reuse some of their waste products, and also they produce their waste products slowly compared to animals. State 2 methods by which plants get rid of their waste products. They get rid of their waste product by diffusion, exudation, etc. To estimate the population size of mosquito in Banji village that covers an area of 25 kilometers squared, visiting researchers caught 400 mosquitoes, which they marked and released. After 24 hours, 200 mosquitoes were caught, out of which 120 had not been marked. Suggest the sampling method described above. So, because you are marking, and some of them are not marked, so they caught 400 mosquitoes, they marked them and released them. Then after 24 hours, 200 mosquitoes were caught, 120 had not been marked. So that is capture-recapture method. What are disadvantages of this method? Some organisms may die during the study period, and the marked one may come out during the study period. The table below shows tomato distribution on leaves A and B and their surface area. Use the information to answer the questions that follow. So here you have leaf A and B, the number of stomata on the upper leaf surface and the lower surface, and then the surface area. You are told, identify with reasons the habitat of the plants from which these leaves were obtained. Leaf A, it was obtained from fresh water because it has a maximum number of stomata on the upper surface. And then on the lower surface, it doesn't have any. Leaf B, it's obtained from arid areas because you can see it has numerous stomata on the lower surface. On the upper surface, it doesn't have, it has a rich number of stomata. Then you are given another question. You're told to name the causative agent of the following diseases. Trichomoniasis, it is caused by Trichomonas vaginalis. Gonorrhea, it's caused by Neisseria gonorrhea. The diagram below shows pollen tube as it develops down the style. Use it to answer the questions that follow. I was supposed to identify as G. Tube G, that's the pollen tube. State the function of the part labeled E. So it fuses with the egg nuclei to form a zygote, and it fuses with polar nuclei to form the triploid endosperm. Define the term parthenocarpy. It's the formation of fruits without fertilization. Name the hormone that induces fruit ripening. It's called ethylene hormone. A group of Form 3 students collected a certain specimen for study as shown here. Study it and answer the questions that follow. There is your specimen. You are asked to name the type of metamorphosis that the above organism undergoes. That organism undergoes complete metamorphosis. Give any two advantages of the above metamorphosis. So that each stage occupies a different ecological niche and therefore there is no competition of resources. Give two structural features in a leaf that adapt it to absorb carbon dioxide. Broad lamina. That lamina is the broad surface. If it has broad lamina, it will absorb more carbon dioxide. Having many stomata, it will also help absorb efficiently carbon dioxide efficiently. Name the cell organelle in which carbon dioxide combines with water to form complex organic compound. Takes place. That's the chloroplast. That is where photosynthesis takes place. In an experiment to investigate a factor affecting photosynthesis, leaf of a potted plant that had been kept in the dark overnight was covered with aluminum foil as shown in the diagram. The setup was kept in the sunlight for 3 hours, after which food test was carried out. Which factor was being investigated in the experiment? That is light, because you see that the leaf here is covered with a light-proof material. That means that you are testing whether light is required for photosynthesis to take place. Which food test was carried out? That is test for starch, because you are testing whether food was made. State the observation of the food test. Starch was absent because light was not present. Therefore, it showed a negative test, or iodine retained its brown color. Explain how the following adaptations minimizes the rate of transpiration. Sunken stomata. Water vapor accumulates in those pits, reducing water vapor diffusion gradient and therefore reduce transpiration rate. Thick cuticle, it reduces permeability of the leaf to water, thus reducing water loss. Explain how drooping of leaves on a hot sunny day is advantageous to a plant. The leaves expose a smaller surface area to the environment, therefore reducing loss of excess water. Name two tissues in plants which are thickened by lignin. Xylem vessels, parenchyma cells. Then here we have a diagram that shows the front view of the male reproductive system. Give the function of the structure labeled X and V. X, it provides an alkaline fluid which contains nutrients for the spermatozoa. Then V, of course, that's where testes are stored. That's where sperms are stored. What is the role of follicle stimulating hormone in the male reproduction? It stimulates synthesis and maturation of sperms. Then here you asked, how do the following factors hinder self-pollination in flowering plants? Self-sterility. So this one, it's a condition where pollen grains from anthers cannot grow on the stigma of the same plant. That ensures no fertilization can take place. Heterostyry, it's a condition where you have different arrangement of style and stigma that are shorter than the stamen, and that makes it difficult for fertilization from the same flower. And then protogeny, a condition where female matures and is ready to receive pollen grain before the male parts. The table below shows the concentration in parts per million of sodium and iodide ions in seawater and cells up. So you're asked, which of the ions intake will be affected if the plant was sprayed with a chemical that inhibits respiration? That's the iodide ions. Explain your answer because less energy is produced. Here you have an experiment that was carried out. You are told that at the end of the experiment, it was observed as starch turned blue-black in the beaker, turned blue-black while the color of iodine in the beaker did not change. Explain. It's because iodine particles are smaller in size and therefore they move from the beaker to the whisking tubing by diffusion, making it turn blue-black. Then here you ask, state the role of the following organelles: ribosomes, their site for protein synthesis; chloroplast, site for photosynthesis; nucleus, control activities of the cell. Then, a process that occurs in plants is represented as shown in the equation. Name the process. That is anaerobic respiration. That is breakdown of glucose in absence of oxygen. Two economic importances. It is used in brewing industry to make beer, in baking industry to make dough that raise them bread, silage treatment, etc. Below is a diagram of an organism. Identify the class to which the organism belongs. That organism belongs to class Chilopoda. Features that it has two pairs of legs per segment, 2 legs per segment or 1 pair of legs per segment. It has a pair of antennae which is visible. It has 2 body parts, that's the head and the trunk. Then the body is dorsoventrally flattened. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe and comment.